Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the third time reunion of the BearCave podcast with my co-host DB. I'm not gonna dox him, but he does have a pretty awesome Twitter. We'll end up putting that in the chat and in the stream description after this is over. Guys, welcome out. Really happy to start this back up. We need some kind of platform for discussion and analytical awesomeness. So that will be this podcast. So welcome out. We'll have some stuff to talk about. We might open it up to a Q&A at some point. That'll essentially be pulling people into the podcast through Discord. We'll pull you to the live channel. You got a question you want to ask or something similar to that, we'll see what we can do and see how we can answer that. But as we begin to load up, I am your host, your main host, the guy with the most followers on any internet platform and gonna rub it in his friend's face, QBZ. And go ahead and introduce yourself, Bert.
Oh, hey guys. I don't know what I should go by. I guess I'm DB right now because I don't know y'all like that, and y'all don't need to be calling me by my real name.
Yes, not on purpose, not unless you want us to, but I'm not unless you want us to, though. That's completely up to you.
DB, Bert, those both work. But yeah, happy to be here. This is kind of fun. I get to use my new toys and catch up with my boy.
I know, man. That's the whole point, man. You're gonna try to do stuff anyway. You might as well try to make something out of it. And Coyote, thanks for coming out. Jay, thanks for coming out to this live. This will also be up afterwards. This will be up on the channel, and of course, if Burton wants to track the audio, I can, so he can post it wherever he wants.
How are you seeing them? Because are you looking on the YouTube channel? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah. I also have a chat dashboard.
Okay, because I can't see any of that.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
All right, man. So just to get over just the basic premise of the podcast, we'll have a few topics that we want to talk about. Then we can open it up to any kind of specific discussion somebody else might want to have. Also, this will aim to be around 30 to 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. Just depends on how the conversation goes. Because you never want to force conversation. If it's not coming out naturally, then really what's the point? Sam? Like it needs to feel natural. So at least what I have on the docket for today's discussion is LeVar Ball and Trump, right? The Oklahoma State poke choke, and then life and shit. Just anything that's going on with life and shit. We can start with the life and shit first. So I'll let you take the floor. How's life and shit in New Orleans?
It's interesting. So I moved to New Orleans in September. Took a job in New Orleans. That's been interesting so far. It's a lot of food. I put on a lot of fat in like 2 months just from eating po' boys every week and drinking on the weekends. New Orleans is great. It's a mini Vegas. It's really down to earth. I was kind of afraid at first just because, coming from Oklahoma, Oklahoma's middle America, 100%. And
yes.
Then to go to New Orleans is like a real big culture shock as far as people. It wasn't nearly as intimidating as I thought it would be, just because of how nice everyone is. Like people are really, really nice.
That was one of the shocks that I had when we went there both times. Was I guess true Southern society. Being nice, actually not being a bastard about everything. That was actual something that was cherished there. I mean, like there's the bad parts of everything, but for the most part, everybody was pretty happy and nice and excited to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people would just walk up to you and just, ask you who you were or what you do, or like just people will just strike up conversation with you, and that's pretty cool because a lot of places you're just kind of trained to like not make eye contact with people and not be polite because nobody wants that for whatever reason. But in New Orleans, you can strike up a conversation with a stranger and it not be weird.
Yeah, that's what I love Oklahoma for what it is, but for the most part, we're really behind on numerous things that are pretty common staples for any city that is like progressive. I feel like Oklahoma's getting progressive, but it's still lacking behind to like everybody else around an immediate area, especially like Dallas, Kansas City, all the major population areas. Hell, even Fayetteville is on a whole nother level as opposed to Tulsa and Oklahoma City. But I feel like Tulsa's starting to get there a lot quicker than Oklahoma City is.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I enjoy going to Oklahoma City just because it's so different from Tulsa. But it's weird because I enjoy Tulsa, I enjoy Oklahoma City. Neither one of them is even remotely comparable to the French Quarter.
No,
it's amazing just how the people are so different, and it's really, that's the thing. I think that, I don't know how unfiltered I can be, but just the type of people that you're dealing with in New Orleans versus Tulsa and Oklahoma City, it's a culture thing. It's not even like a white, black or anything. It's just like the people are born and bred differently in that part of the country, I guess. So
I understand what you're saying. I mean, you can be, I mean, we're a mature stream within reason, I mean, you can keep it, I guess the term would be, as dank as you want to, without just outright, like, I don't know, going straight ISIS on a mofo about some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. And that's, I mean, it's very interesting because I think that the people that you meet kind of dictate the type of person that you're going to be in a particular area. And I just think that the people I've met have allowed me to be a lot more sociable than I ever would have been otherwise.
A lot more open to newer and better ideas. Not necessarily better, just newer and different ideas, as opposed to being stuck in the traditional path of this is what has always been done, let me keep doing it kind of stuff, right?
Exactly, yeah. It just allows you to growth. It allows you to grow and understand that there are just more things and people and experiences out there that you just don't get unless you leave your hometown, your home state.
And I would like to point out, who was one of those people who encouraged you to spread your wings, fly out of Oklahoma?
Are you saying that was you?
Yes, that's what I was trying to insinuate, that I was one of the people who influenced you to go and experience what the world has to offer.
Oh my gosh. Well, definitely you. Let me think. Realistically, our little group chat that we have on the side, all of you guys were pretty awesome about it. And then, my family wasn't really into it, so that much I can say. Like, I got my enthusiasm from other people. It didn't come from my family, because my family's a very close knit. Everyone sticks around and all that. So definitely, I would say that my friends and other people who work within my company that were from the New Orleans area definitely gave me, the encouragement to go ahead and take the leap.
Yeah, I mean, you're only young once. You ain't attached to kids or nothing. You ain't got anything hanging over your head. Like, if it all burns down, you can be like, man, I can just go. Like, I don't have to stay here. Like, I'm kind of stuck in Tulsa for a little bit, but if I really wanted to, I could be like, fudge it, let's go. Like, I'm out. Like, chunk the deuces for the most part. But that's how I like being able to live. Like, I love being in an area, but I don't want to be tied down to a specific location, because one, you never know, like, this whole town could go to complete crap, and then I'm not gonna be stuck here. Like, I'm gonna chunk the deuces and go where I can get a good job. Like, be damned.
No doubt. That's the one thing that I can't take for granted right now, is that I just don't have anything that's stopping me from doing whatever I want. And I'm lucky enough to be with the company that allows for a lot of mobility.
Yep.
And so I can, because I'm already thinking about where I'm going to go next. And right now, Houston is looking mighty enticing. I might give Denver a try. I've even thought about Arkansas. Nah, I take that back.
No, Fayetteville's popping off, dude. Arkansas, in Fayetteville, Fayetteville, and I forgot the other place.
Fort Smith. So the office that I would have to work for is out of the Little Rock area, which I don't know geography that well to know where that's at in comparison to Fayetteville and Fort Smith. But I don't know. I think that now that I've like gotten to live in New Orleans, I don't know if I'm trying to go back towards the middle of America. If that sounds like it's just the people, man. It's something that you can't really get past. You're just dealing with a whole different breed of people in a good way. And I shouldn't say in a good way, in a different way. Because don't get me wrong, I go home as much as I can. I see my family, I see my friends. I do all of that because that's home. But Oklahoma's so much more awesome when you don't live there.
That's why I've been trying to do more. Tulsa, I'll give Tulsa some credit. It's grown. I'm actually starting to do a lot more stuff outside of it because for a while I was kind of like, man, I'm ready to move, man. I'm kind of hate this place. But then I started going out and about, and I've actually met some more like-minded people in my hobbies, and that's actually kind of turned me on to staying here a little bit more. Like actually being, like thinking about it, like I love going on the track. And I finally got to go on the track. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm 20 minutes from a road course and 20 minutes away from the best drag strip, one of the best drag strips in the nation. It's like, I'm probably never going to find this in most of the other places that I live. So I'm just going to appreciate it while I have it now. Just because I was looking around for other tracks at other places I was thought about living. And there really aren't that many left unless you want to like risk it for the biscuit and get arrested by the cops, you know. But it's starting to get better. Is it going to get like Kansas City good or Houston good or Dallas good? Probably not, because at some point the Oklahoma culture is going to hold it back. I'm not saying the Oklahoma culture is wrong or there's anything wrong about it. It's just that if that's kind of the way that they don't want the direction of their state to go in terms of having a really large metropolis kind of area, I mean, that's what majority rules, so that's something that they'll have to deal with. But I'm not going to fault them for wanting to be like that. I would just have to literally go somewhere else to get what I wanted.
Yeah, that's true. I think that Tulsa is a great city for someone who enjoys the thing about Tulsa is that it's almost like a bunch of little mini towns that are all connected. Yeah. And so the difference is that there's just not that many people. Like for instance, I moved to New Orleans and I met, a chick from Chicago. I met a chick from Phoenix. I met a chick from a couple of chicks from
Now, Houston. Did you meet these chicks or did you meet these chicks through Tinder? That's the burning question.
Well, so you got it. So as far as like meeting them, yeah, I met a couple of chicks. One's from Chicago. She's pretty cool. Kind of got some issues that I can't really handle. Like,
is she crazy? Cool. She sounds crazy.
She's not crazy because I haven't met anybody that's crazy. Well, I say that my first weekend here, when I met the Chicago chick, we were walking in the French Quarter and there was like this black guy with dreads and face paint. He had white face paint on, so I thought he was like doing the whole meme thing. Well, he was like robbing another, and this guy was homeless. He was robbing another homeless guy.
Oh my goodness!
Like the guy was asleep on the side of the road, on the sidewalk where we were walking, and this guy with face paint is like running his pockets in front of us, and like didn't even bat an eye that we were walking by or anything. And so that was definitely interesting. Even so, like I've also met a chick who's from Tulsa. So I met a chick that's from Tulsa, living in New Orleans for about a year and a half now. She went to TCC, where I went to, community college. She graduated from OSU. So like almost identical stories in a way. It took her a long time to graduate, just like me. So it's like crazy how you move 10 hours away and then run into somebody who's literally got the same life story.
Yeah, there's really not that much diversity in terms of location in Tulsa. For the most part, it's either somebody who's usually lived here forever or somebody who decided to, who came here for work and is really contemplating leaving and going somewhere else, like oil and gas, telecom, kind of industry I work in. But you know, it's not really a crossroads. Like Kansas City is a crossroads, New Orleans is a crossroads, Dallas is a crossroads. It's a major attraction of people looking for something else, or just looking to get their start, or maybe looking to continue their career. And I necessarily don't think that Oklahoma's is, but there's what Oklahoma's working to become, which is good because they need to try to do. They need to try to be like that.
Definitely. I mean, it's hard because it's hard to sell a 25 to 30-year-old on moving from a coastal state to Oklahoma. Like, that's hard. I get that that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, single, no kids, no responsibilities. Like, family wise, man, this place is great for families because that's all they fucking talk about. But if you just a dude with dogs, man, there's better places you can go.
Exactly. And I mean, that's really the truth, is that it's very hard to convince people that Oklahoma is a place to be if they are single with no major burdens. They don't have a bunch of bills, a bunch of extra bills and things like that. Now, if you're just trying to settle down, I don't see why Oklahoma wouldn't be a great place. Like, cost of living,
oh my god, dude, that's part of the reason it's keeping here. It's so cheap, dude.
Oh man, I had no idea how cheap Oklahoma was until I got there. I promise you, I'm probably paying $600 more dollars a month now than I would have in Oklahoma.
So let me tell you this: when we were in Detroit, a two-bedroom apartment, no upgrades and nothing. Really, it wasn't crappy, but it was just in the right part of town. It was almost $1,100, and it was the size of my living room right now. But it was 2 stories, so technically it was a little bit more, but the square footage was absolutely abysmal. And after that, I was like, dude, that's the best. If Oklahoma's cost of living goes up, that's the last straw.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have any way to keep people here if you got to think. So for me, I was living in a smaller town in Tulsa, granted, but I was paying maybe $500 in rent.
Dude, that you can't even get Section 8 for that in a big city.
Right, and it wasn't a bad apartment. I had a washer and dryer. I had parking space. Like, I had all the things that you need. It's quiet. It wasn't a bunch of, it wasn't shady like that. It's funny because the shady is in the title of the apartment, but it wasn't a shady place. It was very low key. And then I moved to New Orleans, and I'm paying over $800. And then on top of that, I have to pay to park at work.
Oh,
goodness. I have to pay another $70 a month to park. So it's just those 2 bills alone. It's just amazing how quickly things add up when you move to a big city.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got the opening out the way. Let's go ahead and move into the next topic. Unless you wanted to rant about getting the lightning cable from Apple, the adapter to use your microphone. Unless you wanted to rant about that, we can move on to the next topic.
No, I mean, I appreciate the internet. I think that the internet is best when you actually read all of the information that it tries to give you. I think that's what happens to a lot of people, is they just take like the first line of something and then run with it and decide that that's facts. I went and bought a Snowball Blue microphone because I started a podcast on the Anchor app, which is pretty cool. I'm still trying to figure it out. But, I Googled the whole, how do I connect my Snowball to my iPhone? And I read like the first line. I was like, oh, cool. I just got to buy this lightning to USB cable. Mm-hmm. And I go and buy that, right? And I get home and I'm so stupid because I looked at it and was like, oh, this is just what I need. And I get home and I plug it in and realize that's literally exactly what an iPhone charger is. Like, it blew my mind that I didn't put it together, but they literally didn't have them in the same place. Like, they had the iPhone chargers in one place, and then they had USB to lightning connector cable in a different place. So I didn't connect the two. But so I got that and realized how stupid I was and took it back and got the actual the piece that I needed was actually a lightning to camera adapter. Mm-hmm. And it works just fine. I plugged my USB microphone into that and then plugged the other end into the iPhone, and I was able to start recording immediately. So
nice.
Yeah, I love it.
We'll have to put a link to your podcast in the description later, just so we can advertise the hell out of that. So then I can take scrupulous means of subsidies from whatever money you make in the future, as I plan on not actually working and doing the American corporate way of living off of other people's success.
Well, I'm such a noob at it. I'm afraid to link it because I'm sure your little
dude, you go back and look at my beginning videos. They are god awful. I mean, I'm terrible now. They were even worse then. I mean, you can't.
Hard.
It's hard. The worst thing is to keep talking because you never want that dead air. That's like the hardest thing.
And I mean, I think that it's easy when there's another person with you, but like just talking and like you realize that you have to come up with like a script and you have to like flow, like your topics have to make sense.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm realizing immediately, is that's very difficult to like maintain a flow. And with the app, it only records for 5 minutes at a time. So I have to do like 5-minute segments. And the first couple podcasts, I am like talking and it stopped recording and I didn't even realize it. So, you know, it's stuff like that. And then the background music is like super loud and I already have a low voice. So it's like, I'm gonna have to find some other way to do that. But yeah, so I might link it just because I don't really care what anybody has to say about it. Because I know I suck, but I think that I'll, if I do it long enough, like anything else, I'll get better.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, especially because like naturally talented at like sports and stuff, like it just came to you. But this might actually have to be something you'll have to get better over time, and it won't be as immediate as feeling great as it was like with other things.
Right.
All right, so we're going into the next topic. Derek really DB really wanted to rant about this, so I'm not sure if many of you guys are into college sports or football in general, but our alma mater choked on the fat one this past Saturday. Choked a fat one to Kansas State. So he wanted to rant about that, so I'm going to let the floor be his while I go and grab a beer.
Listen, it's so frustrating to watch a game like that when we're supposed to be, you know, in the hunt for a Big 12 title. And, you know, we all week we talked about, man, we just need Texas Tech to beat TCU. And, you know, that will be golden if we do that. We won't have any problems if we do that. Or if they do that, I'm sorry. And, you know, we realizing what type of team we had, that should have never been our concern. Like, our concern should have been Kansas State, who has played well all season. They don't have the greatest record, but they have a team that's in every game they play in.
Yeah.
And for us to just decide, and honest to God, and I tweeted this, honest to God, I think that they saw that TCU was stomping Tech to death, just was like, oh, our season is over with. What are we even playing for anymore? So they went out there and let K-State beat up on them essentially until the last quarter was when they finally tried to catch up. And by then, you know, it was too late and they had the overthrown ball.
Man, that last drive, dude, four dropped passes. Well, like 3 drop passes on that last drive. Absolutely horrendous, man.
And, you know, and I get it. No, I don't get it. Here's the thing. So, you know, we play defense, and anybody who's ever played defense for Oklahoma State knows that defense isn't Oklahoma State's strong suit. For whatever reason, you know, we've had some shit defensive coordinators. Not talking about Spencer, because I like Spencer.
Like, we blitzed on every play. Like, we blitzed, so it wasn't technically a blitz. They just knew we weren't going to end up where we were already, so then they had to change their blocking scheme.
Right, or we were in a 3-man front, which I wish would just die. Like, I really wish the 3-man front would just die, because nobody in the Big 12 is running a 3-man front and better in the secondary.
No.
Nobody. They're all still trash in the secondary. OU secondary is awful. Our secondary has gotten worse for some reason. But again, I credit that to the offenses in the Big 12. These offenses are amazing. They are. But
they're hard to compete against. They're very hard to compete against.
for sure. And I get it. If you don't have, because here's the problem. You take a defensive lineman away and say, we're just going to have 3 rush. We might have 1 blitz from somewhere else. That's fine. You got 4 on 5 or 3 on 5. You're just giving the quarterback more time to sit there. And just because and the problem is that the extra guy that's defending in the backfield or whatever, or in the secondary, is somebody who couldn't hold anybody anyway. It's a linebacker or, a big defensive end. Like, they really aren't, or I guess you could throw in another DB, but here's the problem. These offenses are prepared for that. Like, they know how to throw people open. They know how to let those guys get into the pockets. So I just think that the answer isn't to take a rusher away. I just don't feel like that's ever the answer.
No, I mean, part of the problem is they run man and then they'll run the pick plays, or they'll run some kind of scheme to where they'll always find a hole in the secondary, because there's only so many areas you can actually cover, and you're really limited anyway. Your favorite college football team finally won a game. GG. Aonic, please don't tell me that is somebody else. Just tell me the school. Hopefully the school is not terrible.
Nah, but I was super not happy with how they played. I mean, I get it. I totally get the whole team morale thing, and maybe that had something to do with it. And maybe because Kansas State wasn't better than Oklahoma State, but they just played better. And that team will always show up to play. Now, with the way that we played, we got to show up to play Kansas next week, or they might have us in a shootout.
The fact that we're nervous about Kansas is also the fact that people aren't going to show up because it's Thanksgiving weekend. It is so bad, man. It's so horrible.
I didn't even think about that. It's going to be a low turnout because it's Kansas and Thanksgiving weekend. That sucks. But I think that now we got to play for a good bowl. And
tell him, bro, if it's the Alamo Bowl again, I ain't even gonna watch. I might go down there to see Allen Baby, but that's about it. I am not going there. Oh yeah. What do you think about Florida State? Because there is a member in the chat who mentions that FSU is hot garbage this year, and I would absolutely agree. After they lost their quarterback, FSU has been booty butt garbage. But I mean, like, the new quarterback wasn't necessarily ready, and even if they had a good even if like your quarterback didn't get injured, Florida State was going to have a rough year because they ain't got no turnover chain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always confused when schools like that have down years, because you have a different breed of athlete that you have access to in Florida, in Texas.
You have access to the mutants.
Yeah, like the guys who, like, God worked extra hard when he was creating. Like, you have these talents and I understand that, because don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of blaming coaching. I'm a huge fan. And maybe that's the case. I haven't watched enough of Florida State play this year to really be a judge of what they look like. University of Miami is so fun. Like to see them play and be on the national stage again is really fun to watch. But you're right, Florida State just kind of disappeared after a couple really good years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Florida game is going to be. I don't know though. I mean, they fired Bill McElwain from Florida, so that might be the worst playing game of all year. That's probably going to be the ugliest football, but it's going to be a great game between Florida and Florida State.
Yo, wasn't it Florida's Twitter page that like posted some tweet about their punter breaking a record for punting the most times in a single season? Like, I think that was definitely. I got to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that was Florida, and it made me laugh because like that's not a good.
No, that's not good. Oh my goodness, that doesn't surprise me though. That's a very Florida thing. Wait, oh, here it is. I got it up. It's gonna be on stream right now. Another record for Johnny Townsend won. He punts, his 232 punts are the most all time at Florida. That's not good. There's nothing you want to brag about.
That's
Ever.
3 and outs. That's just 3 and outs all day.
This dude has the perfect sentence. Yay, celebrations for giving the ball to the other team. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness. I didn't even know that was a thing. There it is this year. Almost choked against Michigan. Dalvin Cook ran for 70 yards on a 3rd and 20. Damn, that's not bad at all. All right, man. I mean, like, to wrap up on Oklahoma State, I would like to point out that I've been telling people this all year. Quarterback's really not that good. Not at all.
Whoa. Now, this is a debatable topic.
He's not. I mean, he's good. I'm not saying that he's not good because he's a great quarterback. But it's like as soon as like we started like putting up points against like bad teams, it was all like, put it in my mouth. You know, we're gonna ride him all day. You know, and give him all his compliments. But every game I was like, why is he holding the ball? Why is he making a terrible decision? Why did he just like not throw the ball there? Why does he not have a mid-range game? Why can't he only throw it short or throw it deep? And granted, he has been able to get the 10 to 15 yard ball out better this year, but there have been so many times that our receivers have bailed him out of a really bad throw.
I can't disagree with most of that, just because I've watched him overthrow receivers on such a consistent basis. But I agree with that. I agree that he's not the most amazing quarterback that we've ever had. I say that. I mean, he's broken all of Gundy's records, and he's I think he's blown Whedon out of the way.
But
so
the problem with the records though is the way that the game is going is encouraging you not to run the ball. So how else are you going to get your yards? By throwing it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Now, what I would really like to do is compare him to Baker Mayfield and tell me, do you think that Mayfield is just hands down a better quarterback than Mason Rudolph?
He's not even. I would say this crop of quarterbacks for this year are probably not some of the worst, but there were better options available in drafts previously, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I could say that. But so when I look at Mason, I see a quarterback that has the tool set. He has the toolbox, maybe is the right word, where if he gets on the right team and they can like load up his toolbox with the right tools, I think he's got a chance to be a long-time professional athlete. And I'm going to be that guy. I don't want to be, because, every time you bring up Johnny Manziel when you're talking about Baker,
one and done,
people
dude.
get all huffy, and a lot of these people are defending Baker and the things that he does and says. I just choose not to. I get it. He's a really good quarterback who has been really good for that team. He's done a lot, and I imagine that he's going to play in the NFL. My interest is how people differentiate him from the Tim Tebows and the Johnny Manziels of the world. Because to me, don't get me wrong, I think he's got a better arm than those guys. Which will probably help, kind of keep him right outside of those categories. But is his skill set going to transfer to the league the same way that I think Mason Rudolph's is?
But I don't even know if Mason's really going to be able to translate either, just because he is so damn inconsistent. Like, you can't keep throwing deep. You can't throw deep balls like that all the time against the pros. You're either going to hope that like you got Dez on your team, or you're just going to try to bait them into getting a pass interference call every time.
Well, Dez ain't running nobody out deep like that, so I don't even know if that's the great comparison. I get what you're saying, because you're right. You can't, which is so confusing that these teams allow Washington to get behind them so consistently. It's amazing, like, how that keeps happening. But you're right, that's not going to happen in the pros. He has to develop the short game and the mid-range and all those things that make a quarterback good if he wants to be good in the pros.
Dude, I'm with you, dude. I would have lost faith in FSU after seeing that quarterback go down. Your quarterback went down. I was like, they done, bro. was like, bag him and dag him, dude. And I did watch that Auburn-Georgia game. Georgia got completely throttled.
Georgia didn't even look like they belonged in the top 15.
I mean, like, there's a lot of teams that have been exposed this year. But that just goes to show you can be a mediocre team compared to your counterparts. But as long as you're ranked high enough early enough and then lose early enough, they'll forgive you because then they'll forget about it because that's just the way our society is.
That's true. And Lamar Jackson is probably one of my favorite quarterbacks. I hope that he gets to flourish when he gets to the league.
He might end up. I think he'll end up running like a wing or a flanker, kind of like Terrell Pryor. Honestly, and maybe do some quarterbacking.
I hope that's not what. Like, I hope he gets to prove himself at quarterback. But you're right; he's got the tool set that, regardless, he'll be playing. I just hope that they let him build up and continue to improve as a quarterback before they, jump ship and make him play freaking halfback or something.
Yeah. All right, man. Any more predictions for college football? Any more predictions while we're on the topic of sports?
I don't even know who's playing next week. Let me see if I can.
Oh, jeez. Honestly thought Francois was trash. Literally threw the ball on ground as his ground was his best receiver. Dude, I'm telling you, man, as I remember the first day that I started playing. So, like, high school was like a different kind of speed, and it was like, man, like I could see everything coming. I could be a little bit lazy about it. I can always react, and then like I didn't have to try very hard. I could like see it, react, and then like make the tackle like I knew what I was doing the entire time. But man, when I started playing college, dude, when you start playing against dudes who literally had the same thing that you were able to do and probably were better at it, I bet you for Francois, life came at him super quick. He probably thought like, man, it's like practice. We got some of the best athletes in the nation. We got this. We're going to be number one. We got this, baby. I'm going in here. I'm going to look good. I'm going to be like the Kenny Trill. I'm going to have my own nickname. I'm going to be starter. They ain't even going to remember the other guy. And then literally Alabama came in there. Of the time to come in for your first college snaps is literally not one of the best football teams of any level in history. I mean, Alabama could possibly sometimes pass as like one of the worst pro teams, but they are literally stacked top to bottom 4 and 5 stars. If anybody to come into to build your confidence, it's definitely not Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama's amazing, and they've been amazing. They've been amazing since we played them in the freaking Independence Bowl.
Dude, that was a turnaround year for them because that was the last year of who was that? Because he recruited me because that's when I almost went to Alabama. I forgot his name, but that's the year right before Saban came there.
And they had you remember they had that big ass offensive tackle that was super nice.
Oh yeah, that dude was. Yeah, that dude was super cool. I couldn't even be mad at him.
So this next week, as far as the top 25 goes, Miami's playing Pittsburgh, so that should be an easy win. We play Kansas, which at this point is probably not going to be an easy win, even though they're winning. And then we have Washington State, which is 14 at Washington. It's 18. Doesn't really.
That'd be a good game to finish off the weekend, though.
Yeah, Michigan State at Rutgers. No one cares. Northwestern, Illinois. So Georgia Tech and Georgia are playing. Georgia Tech is still running that wing offense thing, right?
Yeah, they're still running a wing tee, pretty much.
So that's a loss. And then we got Ohio State and Michigan. That should be a good game, right?
Yeah, I mean, but Michigan's such a disappointment, man. Harbaugh has not been able to keep his end of the bargain of bringing Michigan back to the forefront. Michigan gets so many more passes because John Harbaugh is associated with them. But Brady Hoke literally had the same record, and they were running him out of town.
Speaking of Michigan, who is their football program is sponsored by Jordan. What do you think about OU getting sponsored by Jordan? They
getting everybody.
Yeah, I was trying to explain to people because like I text a bunch of people about it and like you could tell who really had no what that meant and the people who got it. Like as far like that's a recruiting move.
100%.
Like you're not going to be able to go anywhere in Oklahoma and convince a kid to go to Stillwater when he could go to Norman and wear Jordans for 4 years for free.
Even though Jordan and Nike are under the same umbrella of companies.
Right. It's literally just a different patch. They scraped the Nike logo off and patch on the Jumpman logo. But that's such a, I mean, because it would have been hard to get me to commit to Oklahoma State with all the connections I had to them if OU was sponsored by Jordan at the time.
I don't even like Jordans, but I would go there partially because of the Jordans.
You gotta think about it like this: them cats in North Carolina, when they get them like the custom 4s and all that stuff, them shits go online if they want to sell them or if they can. Sometimes I don't think they're allowed to, but they find a way. You know what I'm saying? Them joints, you just want to sell them things for a couple of racks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just there's too much that goes into it to be like, man, that's such like them making that move sets back Oklahoma State's recruiting. And I was trying to explain that to well, I guess I won't say his name, but he's just like, oh, that'll be a nice thing up front, but that won't keep them interested in OU.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you understand the mind of like a 16 to 17 year old.
No, dude.
They want to be seen in the fly stuff and on a winning team.
So there's literally 4 things that go in a person's mind when we're 16, 17 and we're getting recruited. I was different. One of the things I was thinking about was a pretty good degree, which is why I almost went to Stanford or Georgia Tech. So it's girls, gear. Am I going to get to play? Does the play suck? And if the play sucks, do I have options? And man, if it had snowed when I had visited Oklahoma State, dude, I probably wouldn't have went. I'm not even gonna lie. When I made my visit, it was cold, but it didn't snow. But if it had snowed and it had iced over like it did when we was running stadiums and shit, bro, not even. I probably would have took my ass to Florida and suffered in the humidity.
You remember that year when like the snow was so bad it was like climbing up the doors?
Yes.
Like it was crazy.
It was so unsafe. Coach Glass wouldn't even have us do it. And when Coach Glass feels something's unsafe, it's probably catastrophic in nature. Like, it's the second coming of Jesus Christ if Coach Glass think it might be an issue.
I would have to agree with that. That man hasn't changed in 10 years. Like, isn't that amazing?
Dude, if I look half as good as Coach Glass does in my 40s and 50s, I feel like that's a win.
Like, that man has been a machine for 2 decades now.
All right. That's it for college football, man. Just to go a little bit over in chat, Ionic mentioned that FSU almost beat Miami. I depend on FSU's basketball team, but they're trash too. And the 1 year we get Derwin James, our best defensive player, our QB gets injured for the entire season. That just goes, I hate quarterbacks as a defensive lineman. I just want to point out they're such an integral part of the actual team because they literally touch the ball every play. It's like if you have a really bad center, it's kind of harder to spot the bad center. But when you got a bad quarterback, everybody suffer, offense and defense, just because the defense is going to be out there a lot more. Like Florida's punter getting a record and Florida touting it out. Like, shut up, Florida. You don't need to be saying that out loud.
And before we get off of sports, we probably should have said, at the beginning that we play defensive line and that our opinions about quarterbacks and offenses.
I fucking hate them. Fucking hate them.
We don't get me wrong. Like, I played guard, tackle, a little tight end.
Dude, I would be ejected right now. I would probably get ejected like 3 different games just because I fucking hate quarterbacks.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of bias there, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah.
All right, so we'll actually be continuing the sports discussion, but we're going to get a little bit political in it as well. We're going to have the discussion between LeVar Ball and Donald Trump. And should Donald Trump keep being Donald Trump? The answer to that is definitely no. But this just goes to show the dichotomy in society right now, the need of appeasement and affirmation on what you've actually done instead of actually paying more attention to the act itself. Like, I don't know. So give us about a few minutes. I've got to go pee and get another beer. I don't know how Derek's feeling. We've been going for about 50 minutes right now, so it's about time to take a quick break. We'll be back in like a minute. You good to be back in a minute?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. We'll be right back, guys. All right, man. I'm not sure if Derek's back yet, but we don't give a F because this is the BearCave podcast. The dude stared at the sun cliffs and didn't get his corneas brought off because he is an alien sent by the Russians, who were also attached to Mothership Zeta from Fallout 4. Little do people know that Fallout is actually a correct representation of our society through the lens of an alternate dimension. But I don't know where I'm going with this. I've been drinking too much. All right, so we're gonna get onto it, man. All right, Donald Trump and LeVar Ball. If you're not familiar with it, LeAngelo, whatever the fuck his name is, second ball. Oh God, that sounded so bad. Second ball, right? He got arrested for shoplifting in China, along with 2 other teammates. And then they were pretty much going to be locked up forever. Trump got those guys out after talking to the president of China. More than likely, there was some secret conversations going on, some stuff being passed around, probably some diplomatic ties. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some back support, some kind of back end deal to get those kids out. That, I mean, if I was China, I would totally leverage getting them back to the U.S. for some kind of like favor in return. If you notice, Trump hasn't talked about North Korea in a long time. So China probably was like, hey, you can get these kids back, wipe the books clean, nobody cares. They just get sent back home if you just shut the hell up about North Korea. Conspiracy tinfoil hat on. There's probably some posturing that went along with that. And of course, they come back. The kids tell them thank you. The university says thank you. They go on indefinite suspension, which should have happened, in my opinion. They needed some kind of recourse for basically publicly shaming not only their university, but our country, doing something so idiotic. And then, of course, LeVar Ball being LeVar Ball, basically causing controversy for controversy's sake, because he never lost. He never lost. Of course, he starts shit with Trump by saying he don't care if he did it or not. And then Trump needing his dick sucked, for the nicest way to put it. He needed his dick publicly sucked because he's that much of an egotistical maniac. Said like he should have left him over there. Okay, Burton, I gave the synopsis of it in the QBZ way. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so first, let me just say that it's amazing to me that anybody in America would go to another country and intentionally break the law. I understand accidentally breaking the law, but didn't we just get that kid back from, was that North Korea, and the dude came back like pretty much a vegetable?
Yes.
Like, and that was for tearing down a poster or something. Like it blows my mind that you know, people, and I get it, these are young kids, and you know, when you're young, you just think the world is yours. So I get that, but
I know that this goes beyond me.
I know that I would
let
never
the
go
entire
to
country
another
go.
country and take
President
something
Trump
that wasn't mine. I know
the
you
United
wouldn't
States
do
government.
that. Most people aren't going to do that. So why would a bunch of 6'7" black dudes go to another country and shoplift? That's what I don't understand. Like, why would that be your, like, and maybe I can't even excuse that. Like, I'm a huge fan of the balls and everything that they do. It's pure entertainment. I wish Lonzo was playing better, because it would make
it would make it more interesting.
Yeah, because and don't get me wrong, I think Lonzo is going to be a Hall of Famer. That's how much I think that kid is just.
He's not a scorer. He is not a scorer.
He's not a scorer, but I think he's a Jason Kidd type, and I think that he has the ability to score. I think that you put another 20 pounds, 30 pounds on this kid and get some experience behind him, that dude's going to be hard to play against.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not going to be like Ben Simmons. He's not going to be like LeBron. He just doesn't have the frame for it, in my opinion. But
no.
he has the ability to be a really good player. Now, as far as you know, the back and forth between LeVar Ball and the president, I'm not a fan of it, because if the president did anything to help get those kids out of the situation they were in, then LeVar Ball should be so thankful, because he could be the guy on CNN talking about his kid coming back strapped to a table and squealing,
waterboarded, like hands missing.
Yeah, like they said the kid came back unrecognizable, making unhuman noises. Like and don't get me wrong, North Korea and China are the same, but I'm just saying that they put their fate in another country's government, and then you're gonna pretend like you don't care that the president did something to, like, if there's anything that you're gonna give the president credit for, that's gonna be it. I'm going to be super thankful that you got my kids out of a situation that could have resulted in them doing time.
Time.
Like real time in another country. Like, I don't think anybody's really talking about how scary that would have.
Especially considering how harsh they treat shoplifting in China.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I don't know anything about what they do to people in China or North Korea, but I just know that the last place I want to be locked up is in another country.
Yes. I mean, it's hard enough dodging it here, right? I'm not about to put that in the hands of somebody else who literally does not care.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. But, you know, and I get it, LeVar is going to do what brings the most headlines to him. So that's fine.
And then, so this story posted in USA Today from Twitter mentions that Donald Trump took the bait of LeVar Ball and his brand wins again. The dude literally lives for controversy. If he isn't causing controversy, he isn't doing his job. His brand is living 100% totally off of stirring the shit pot and then breaking in the money. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, Donald Trump was elected. He was elected great. He was elected to the great majority of American voters, because American voters, for the most part, got tired of the system that was in place. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm pretty tired of it too. But he was so counterculture, he got elected, rightfully. And of course, we know Russia meddled in it to the level of which their meddling was. It seems like Donald Trump was a dumb stooge for the most part, and everybody else who was lower in was trying to do some kind of shady ass deals, and they're starting to get caught now. But Donald Trump, he is so aggressive. He says what's on his mind. He has no fucking filter. And being wrapped up in this controversy is the perfect target for somebody who's like, man, I can take advantage of this dude who literally has no filter. There's so many people that dislike him that they will buy my shit in spite of his actual existence of an opinion on a topic. Like, people who don't even care about basketball or probably on the fence about LeVar Ball or the Big Baller brand will buy his stuff just to shit in the face of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I do believe that's probably accurate. I'm on the Big Baller Brand site. Ain't nothing on here that I'm gonna buy just because I don't like the president. But I get that, because I mean, and don't get me wrong, I didn't look at like the t-shirts and stuff, but these shoes, the sandals, the slides are $220.
Oh my goodness!
So
he's like the Apple of apparel.
Yeah, which makes no sense because his kid's playing like an android. So like it just doesn't make sense. But I get it. I'm all for. I'm the whole black business, let's support. I ain't paying for none of this because I can go right over there to Academy and get about 3 or 4 pieces of clothing and 2 pair of shoes for the cost of one of his pairs.
No, what you talking about? I can buy a whole closet and go to Ross and Marshall's, never lost.
Hey, Ross is the realest. People got to stop hating on Ross because I go up in there and get a whole fit and be happy about it and spend less than $30. Like, whatever. If that makes me a bum, I'll take it. But
Ross has got a lot of my money, which of most I haven't selected.
Here's my problem with the Big Baller Brand. The logo is trash. Like, if like the 3Bs, like if they do a rebranding. Like the one shirt I do like is just like it's got like that Supreme vibe to it. It's just got like the red block with Big Baller Brand written in it.
It's like a bad Bugatti logo. That's it.
Here's the problem. This is stuff that my dad could wear. Like that's the problem. Is that
my God, it's so true though.
But like, cause I know my dad's got like the Big Daddy t-shirts and all that. Like this is right in that same vein with like stuff that your parents should be wearing. But I'm still a fan of Lonzo. I'm a fan of all 3 of the kids. LiAngelo is probably the least athletic. He's gonna have the bigger body of the 3 of them, but they're all really good athletes. And
I mean, it's just their dad. Like most people nowadays can separate the antics of the brand from the actual kids playing.
Yeah, you're right, and I'm a huge fan. But this is one subject where I would defer, and you ain't got to praise the president, but just don't try to outshine him because you can't. You just can't do it. So I wish he would have just never even spoken about it and just let that whole topic die out because the president was the better person in the situation.
Man, it's hard though. Bristol Thompson's fine though, but man, it is hard. You know what? He did it. He's literally a business troll. He's been trolling the shit out of people since the beginning of his brand. His entire goal is to troll people, and everybody's fell for the bait. ESPN has given him millions of dollars in free advertising without fail. And if ESPN won't give it to him, if he's not on First Take, he'll just literally find somewhere else to get it from. And it hasn't stopped yet.
I agree with the advertising. I would just like to see some data that shows how that has turned into profit, because I can tell you that I'm a big fan of Lonzo and what he's been able to accomplish, even though maybe it's not that much up to this point. But like the only reason I'm ever going to the Big Baller Brand Instagram page or Twitter page is because I accidentally clicked on it when I was looking at something. So like I'm not so I wonder how many people are truly being directed towards his merchandise based off of that advertisement that he's getting.
Man. All right, we're at the hour mark. We're a little over the hour and 3 mark. I'm not sure if we have anybody that's willing to wait, and I didn't really do this very well. Last time I did it very well, just telling people to wait around in the waiting area about 10 minutes before we start to do the online Q&A. We would pull you into live chat, have you ask a question, start a discussion there, but I kind of failed that, so my bad on that. But if there's anybody who would like to come in for next week's or the next podcast, we should. Okay, before we continue this, should we go back to the Minority Report, because we were all minorities and I worked really hard on those graphics?
That's totally your call. I mean, all I'm doing is showing up. So, I still think the Minority Report is a little.
Is it a little too edgy right now? I mean, like, but I feel like that edginess could bring us traffic, though. Like, it's a business case for being Minority Reports. I mean, like, it's hard being a minority, but like making it a little harder, but getting clicks and views and stuff, man, I kind of feel like it's worth it.
I'm all for whatever you decide. I think that's you're right. That's a very interesting name. It's something that I would click on if I didn't know any better. So that alone,
because we don't necessarily talk about always minority problems, right?
No, I mean, I don't feel like we did anything,
outside of the normal media landscape.
Right. Which is fine. Which I just, are we going to be attracting that crowd that's looking for that, and then they're going to get here and realize what we're talking about?
But then we lure them in and we suck them in with our talent and ability to hold a conversation after 10 years of friendship.
Yeah, it's really been that long. I was really thinking about the other day that we showed up in Stillwater in 2006. Like,
yes, it's been 11 years, and now I feel old. But I mean, like, we were the best shape of our lives, man.
I know, and we took it for granted. I certainly did.
I miss being able to drink 3 milkshakes and still lose weight, dude.
Yeah, never again. 3 milkshakes now, you're gonna be comatose, and
pre-diabetic, post-diabetic.
Yeah, and you'll gain 3 pounds.
Oh goodness! All right, man.
But that kind of leads into what my whole podcast is about. So I'm switching back to the keto diet, and basically the podcast is not really. It's just me talking about me, and I guess if I get to the point where I can bring people on, well, that'll kind of change the dynamic. But basically, I'm just using it as a tracking myself day to day. I'm going to come on and talk about my weight that day and what I'm eating, how I feel, because the keto flu hurts. It sucks. It's a rough path.
The keto flu is going post keto to pre-keto to off keto, right?
No, it's going from not on keto to being on keto. So when you severely restrict your carbs, your body's fuel source, your body then struggles for a period before it decides, okay, since there are no carbs, I'm going to start using fat to fuel the body. And once you switch, you become ketogenic or in ketosis, and that's when you get your groove back and you're less foggy and you don't feel like you're sick and that type of deal. So basically you're just going to be documenting my progress through that and see how far I can take it.
Okay, man, that sounds complicated. I'm just trying not to eat like shit and I'm losing weight, so I'm just trying to keep it there.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I wish that was the case for me. I just think that for my particular body type, carbohydrates have just never they haven't treated me well since I stopped playing sports.
Yeah. Man. All right, any closing thoughts, man? Any closing thoughts? How you feeling about everything, about life in general, man? What is on your mind?
Yeah, no, that's it, dude. I had fun. This was great.
All right, man.
Kind of helps me get a little practice so that I can bring some energy to my podcast. I'm so dry, so monotone. I got to find a way to be entertaining.
I mean, you can take some pointers for one of the greatest ever, man.
Casey Neistat.
I mean, I was talking about myself, but sure, Casey's pretty good, but I don't know if Casey's great in the podcast format. I mean, I did see that one podcast he did with Philip DeFranco that was actually pretty good.
Podcast wise, there are like a few people that probably wouldn't even be on your radar because your interests are in other areas, but
I feel like you just called me an awful person.
No, you're more into the techie stuff and more into the like cars and stuff like that, where I'm more into like pop culture and hip hop and stuff like that. So I listen to a lot of stuff that's talking about the world as it is today, and not specifically, a technical thing. So, but Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz have a great podcast. Joe Budden's podcast is probably much better than anybody expected it to be. And then on top of that, his TV show on Complex is so good. I watch it every day when I get home from work. Let me think, who else? Because I love podcasts. Oh, and I'm reading audiobooks again. So audiobooks are amazing, and I love them to death.
I don't want to point this out, but you don't read an audiobook.
No, you do, depending on how cool you are.
Oh, what? So you read along while they're talking?
No, you're reading the book, but I mean, technically you're not reading, but you call it reading. Don't. Because
I'm sorry, I just want to give you shit about the audiobook.
I had to look it up because a lot of people think that an audiobook is cheating, right? But the studies that I've found all say that listening to an audiobook is equivalent to reading it. Like you're not getting any less benefits from listening than you are from.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
And it's just easier. It's easier.
It is a lot easier because then you can multitask at the same time too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. That's it, guys, for the return of the BearCave podcast / Minorities Report. But we'll end up going with Minority Report so we can trigger a lot more people, because then they're going to come in here and they're not going to know what's going on. And I like to troll people on the internet. So guys, thank you for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next time we will actually have callers come in, and then between each, we'll figure out the format better. I feel like we can adjust the format to be a little bit better, but maybe encourage a more audience participation in between each topic. But I feel like this was a really good return that we randomly did off the spur of the moment after you had texted me.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it. I was all juiced up, doing my second podcast, so I'm glad we got to do this.
Oh man, practice makes perfect, man. Guys, thank you so much for coming through. Hope you enjoy the BearCave podcast. Be sure to share it with all of your friends, co-workers, your mother, your father, your grandmother. Now, if your grandmother looks real good, make sure she's on Tinder so DB can find her. But guys, thank you guys for coming through. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.